Howdy all, Among Black's Lives. I think it's time we play a little 7 Days to Die. Alright. I probably gonna work on the garden some more today. Man, I am... You know what? Corn, potatoes, meat, right? Water, isn't that all I need for meat stew? Yeah. Yeah, except you don't make it in there. And I don't have any fuel. So, alright. Let me go. Let's get out here and snag some trees then. So I can get this started. Busy day today. I just got done with work and then straight from work to dinner, and now from dinner to recording, from recording to D&D, from D&D to bed. That's been my day. I woke up, got breakfast, started work, quit work, went to dinner, quit dinner. 7 days to die. Yep. Yeah, I haven't didn't get much of a chance to watch anything too spectacular this weekend. I can't think of a single... What did I watch? I watched a couple of documentaries. And I know you're starving, dude. I'm trying to do something about it. First I need a ton of wood, so I'm just gonna have to suck it up. Yeah, I watched what was it called? The Long Shot. I watched a documentary called The Long Shot. It was about this dude who, his brother was on trial for murder, and he had gone to jail as a younger person, and decided that he would never, ever do anything to put him back in jail again. And so... he didn't have much to do with his brother, it sounded like, after that. And then he was at a Dodgers game with two of his friends and his daughter. And after he got home from the Dodgers game, they, I don't know if it was the next day, a couple days later, whatever, they arrested him. Because someone killed one of the key witnesses in his brother's trial. And they said it was him. In fact, they circled his picture in his yearbook, I think they said, and showed it to their eyewitness and asked the eyewitness if that was the guy, which is a super shady police technique. And, because I'm really into wrongful conviction stuff, so I've seen a lot of this stuff. They circle pictures before they show them to witnesses. They tap their finger on the one they want the witness to pick, that kind of stuff. And then once they've picked it, then they're like, oh yeah, see, look, the witness picked it out of the lineup. So they arrest him, and then his defense attorney comes in, and he's like, okay, so where were you when the murder took place? And he's like, well, I was at a baseball game. And they're like, do you got any proof? And he's got, look, I got my two friends, and my daughter was there. And so they had the daughter testify that he was there, and the friends testify that he was there. And he had the tickets. There was there was actual footage from the stadium that was a little blurry, um, and none of it was good enough to stop them from trying him. Oh, because it takes a ton of meat to do this. Hey, you know what? I never made my my grill. And I could probably use more forged iron while you're at it. And so they're like, well, what more do we gotta have? And then they're like, oh well, got a phone call. He's got a phone call to his wife, and they're like, well, see, that phone call doesn't get you out of it either, because if you left the game early, then you could have made it over to where this was taking place, and could have done it. Where's my grill? Did I already pick up the grill? I did. I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot. It's alright. And so they come back and they're like, yeah, the footage isn't good enough to get you out of this. And he's like, well, what about all those camera crews? And they're like, what camera crews? And it turned out the TV show was filming an episode and wanted a full stadium, so they were at Dodger Stadium filming, and happened to film a scene right where he was sitting, so they had to let him go. Because the studio footage was time-stamped at the same time as the... Well, I don't know if they were time-stamped at the same time as the murder, but they were time-stamped close enough that he couldn't have made it there from when he was seen on film. So it was kind of interesting. It wasn't anything amazing. Oh, there is a grill already in there. Why can't I grill this meat then? Does grilled meat take more than one piece of meat? It takes two. I see. Well, that was dumb. Come back out of there then. I will cook this back down. Why don't you then char me that piece of meat? Because I'm sure I'm going to need to eat that too. You melt this back down. I'm going to eat this meat stew. There we go. Okay, now you turn off. I'm going to put all this food back over in here. I don't have a lot of water. I need to find a water supply. I picked a bad spot for my house. What is that? That's not a water supply, right? Can't tell what that is. Whatever it is, it's on the edge of the... Oh, right there's water. Hey, zombie. Oh, your head came off, dude. I am so not sorry. And then the other documentary I was watching was... I taped a couple of episodes. I'll tell you what, I don't know how anyone can watch this channel, but I started watching... I don't watch stuff with commercials, and so when I watch something, I skip the commercials, or I wait till it comes out and I can watch it with the commercials removed, like you get a boxed set of a season kind of thing, and or wait for Netflix. And so I started watching this The Disappearance of Maura Murray, and I'll tell you what, they've got so many commercial breaks. I can't stand it. It's terrible. It's terrible. So far, it's been pretty interesting. It's a disappearance that I have followed over the years, I guess. Are you down or no? Yeah, now. And this water was a little farther away than I expected. And so it's alright, now I've got 66 jars of disgusting water to take back. But yeah, that's an interesting story. It's woman leaves college. Nobody knows why she's going. Looks at ski lodges and tells her family that her sister's in, or not her family, tells her coworkers she's upset about her sister, and then just vanishes. Crashes her car. I guess that's not when she vanished, but crashes her car. Guy offers to call the police. She says she already called them. There isn't cell phone reception where she's at, and he doesn't think anything of it. Goes inside. A few minutes later, she's gone. So I watched a couple episodes of that. One of the interesting things they did in there was one of the really interesting things is that the people involved in the case seem to be willing to talk to her, even though none of them have talked to each other. There's a podcast I listen to who has over 50 episodes about this case, and some of the people have refused to talk about it with them, and so it's interesting that they'll talk to this woman who's doing the new documentary, because she's talked to both sides, and they're like, yeah, we don't want to talk to those guys because they talked to this other guy, and the other guy's like, well, they're liars, and so I don't want to talk to. I won't talk to you if you talk to them, kind of thing. And she's talked to both of them, so I don't know. Yeah, it was. So the one interesting thing was that they re-drove the route, and it took them an hour less to get to the spot. Not that that means a whole lot, but it's interesting that you could do it at normal speeds an hour faster. Because maybe she drove slow. They're thinking maybe it means she stopped someplace and maybe ate or something. But yeah, that one's on Saturdays. But man, there's so many commercial breaks. My DVR for Dish has a new thing where after like a week goes by, you can just have it skip the commercials sometimes. It doesn't skip all the commercials, I've noticed, but it skips some of the commercials. So I don't know if they got a new thing where you know, they're trying to get in on the commercial money. We're going to skip all the commercials unless you pay us, kind of thing. Because I have noticed that not all the commercials get skipped, just some of the commercials. And I say that because I was watching that show and it allowed me to skip the commercials. and it skipped all the commercials except for this Apple commercial in the middle for the new iPhone or whatever. I'm like, well, that's really strange because you skipped every other commercial but this one. I think somebody let that one slip through the commercial filter or something. But yeah, I don't know, because we had our Sunday family D&D. Not that we accomplished anything, but a little bit. It was kind of funny because I had okay, I think I've got... Nope, I'm gonna need all those. Dang it. This is why I've got to get the rest of this done so I can get these things planted so I can get some supplies. But I was thinking about, because I don't plan out what we're doing a lot. I think like for this session, the most I did was came up with some names for a couple of people. Like I added 5 names, I think, to my list of NPC names, and that was it. And all the rest of it I just make up as we go. But because I had 3 weeks, I was thinking about the different places they could go and what's going on in those places, and so I decided that they were going to be betrayed and not realize it until it happened. They could have found a way, but they ignored content, and they were given a dagger they were told was the king's dagger, and the prince actually showed up at the same place they were at, and instead of meeting with I don't know, just to me it seems like you'd want to meet with the general who's about to run a campaign against the bad guys you've been sent to try and figure out what's going on. You might want to know what he's doing. No, they had no interest in talking to the general. And then a second general showed up with the prince, and they had no interest in even meeting those people. And I was like, well, that's kind of sad. I gave them names and everything. And, but if they'd have talked to the prince and showed him the dagger, he could have told them that the dagger was not the king's dagger. And so, instead the ambassador is the guy who's behind the Knoll invasion. They don't know it yet. He's the one who sent the dagger. And so it was actually a dagger of challenge. And so when they presented it to the orc leader, he thought they were challenging him for his position, and then they're like, no. You know, I brought this way out to here. I wonder if I was planning on doing that with the corn too. I guess I might as well, right? And so that was kind of fun for me. And they're like, we were told this was all set up, and they got all mad, and I'm like, yeah, you were told that, but the people involved didn't know. I think this is, yeah. Because I think that's done, and I think if I keep going, it's going to upgrade to the next level there. But nope, they had no interest in discussing anything with anybody, so that's what happens. That's what happens when you refuse to interact with the worlds. You challenge the leader of the orcs to combat. They quickly begged off and explained that there was some kind of mistake. And, so they did not challenge the orc to the leader, or to... He would have wasted them. I didn't even have stats for him, but I would have amped him up. Because their leadership is determined by who's the biggest and best fighter. I guess not the biggest, but the best fighter. And this guy is the best fighter. And so... but they're now on a quest to... deal with an issue that's affecting the orcs that stops them from being able to join in on the campaign against the gnolls. And only one of them has turned in their backstory. I have been asking them to turn in their backstory, and only one of them has, and so his backstory is now going to play into the storyline. They were pretty excited by that. And they're like, that's part of his backstory. I'm like, yep. And they're like, yeah, I see how that works. None of us have turned in our backstory, and so his backstory gets to be part of the main story now. I'm like, yep. Yep, that's how that works. You don't do the one simple thing I ask you to do outside of the game. You don't get to participate in that, do ya? I can't put your backstory into the campaign if I don't know what your backstory is. And it's really sad because it's not. I say that it's not sad. It's not sad. It's not disappointing. I don't care, I guess, if they ever do it, but it would have been interesting. Let's do it that way. It would have been interesting had the druid have gotten her backstory to me, because she, as far as I know... Oh man, we got ourselves another little... Get away from my garden. I'm gonna have to go down there and take care of that. Can't have them messing up my place. Pretty sure that guy's not dead. Yeah. But I can't put a backstory in if you didn't give it to me, and the area we're heading to, I'm pretty sure is the same area the druid came from. And so... I guess she's just at this point not gonna get to have backstory for her. Two of the other people's backstory, one of them's part of the main quest line now, accidentally. Just because of the way things worked out. I like they add these little mini hordes back in. I missed them. Jeez. I don't miss my inability to hit when I'm aiming at, though. Wow, this guy has taken several blows to the head now. Are you dead? No. But I know that at least the two of them don't come from the same continent we're on. so I don't have to worry about their tying in their backstory currently. That'll have to come later. And then one of them's already dealt with her backstory-ish, and the guy who tried to kill her is now the guy who ran the I'm basically going to tie that guy into all their backstories. Maybe not their backstories, but the current events dealing with their backstories. And so, like, the one monk, you know, the monastery he's a part of is currently under siege by the same guys who are attacking the orcs. But because he gave me his backstory about being from a monastery, I knew there was a monastery, and so now there's a monastery in the mountains near the orcs. And then I know that Druid comes from the forest somewhere, but she hasn't said where, and so I don't know where her backstory takes place because she hasn't gone that far yet. And because, you know, it's only been several months, and, you know, you get busy. And then the one character was made by my 4-year-old niece, even though she doesn't play with us. It's her character, in case she ever decides she does want to play with us. She occasionally swings by and rolls dice, but that's about it. Her backstory cannot be part of the game. I told them they'd have to come up with a different backstory, because I wasn't using what she came up with, because she's crazy. She told this crazy story about how she lived on an island, which is very feasible. I am fine with that. But then it went crazy where she's really into, like, Hotel Transylvania, and so she has a puppy that's a vampire, but it's really a cat, because she's crazy, like I said, and then she goes dark, and so then her puppy vampire cat, and her, who's also a vampire, killed her entire village, and then they found new people that basically worshipped them, and then they offended her, and so she burned them all with lava. And that was basically the backstory that her mother said she picked for her character. I'm like, yeah, no on almost all of that. That is too bizarre. I guess I could turn that into a backstory, like, she comes from an island where they worship a death deity where they sacrifice people to lava. Maybe there's vampires involved. There is no puppy that's a cat and a vampire, though. I don't think that's a thing. She definitely doesn't have a pet. It also doesn't fit her character from character creation, because her character is an assassin rogue who has a charlatan background, so she has a false identity that she goes by, called the Duchess. That's what we call it. It's the Duchess of something. I don't remember what, but we just call her the Duchess sometimes. And I'm not sure how that ties into, like, I guess maybe she could have taken over a cult and killed the cults. I could totally make that work, I guess. It just seems a little bit too crazy for what we're doing here. Alright, corn, potatoes, coffee beans seem important at the moment. Oh. Are you done with all the water? Yeah. And, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 maybe? Let's go with that. Recipes. Corn seed. 3. Alright. Recipes. Potato seed. 15. Ooh, I can think of one more thing to talk about before we quit here, real quick. Man, I'll tell you what. Like I said, I don't like to watch things with commercials. Oh, did I not? Oh, because I haven't turned them into coffee seeds. I think there's another coffee seed back there. Let me go back and get those other coffee seeds. I think there's like one more. Yes, coffee seed. I don't like to watch shows when there's commercials, so I let the DVR record them and then I watch them later. And I forgot how much I despise sports when it comes to TV watching, because I am not a sports fan, and it's very odd to me that it's okay for your show to go over into the time that my show is supposed to be on, so that... Where are you? So that my show does not record. And so I have been watching The Orville, and my episode 2 was completely the end of a football game that claimed to only have 9 minutes left, and took an hour to get through 9 minutes. So I have not seen the second episode, but I have seen the third and fourth episode, and the first episode, because for some reason it's okay for football to go over its time slot. My shows don't go over the time slots. And I saw a thing the other day that says there's actually only like 15 to 20 minutes of football in a football game. And so for them to take like 3 hours is ridiculous. Anyways. Well, there's anything wrong with watching football. I've got nothing against people who like football. Like your football. I just have a problem with the way the TV does it. And I think it's ridiculous that they go over their allotted time. And then my shows... It's also ridiculous that my DVR isn't smart enough to adjust to that. That seems pretty ridiculous, too. Like, if you can go to the point where you can put a schedule in the DVR, don't tell me you can't update the DVR to the exact times the shows are on. Someone in there needs... It's digital, so you know. It's digital. You know when the show's going to start. You know when the show's going to end. Explain to me why my DVR cuts off the last 30 seconds of every show. You know what I'm saying? Alright. With that, click leave a like, subscribe, share, and catch the next one. I will talk to you later.